Hi, I'm Remy. I'm a game developer. Uh, I have a formation in game programming and 3D modeling and game development. Um, I have worked as a generalist artist or technical artist on Unreal for 3 years, and I'm currently working on Driven. Driven is a crowdfunding platform in prototyping phase. I'm doing the live streams to create my community, and Driven is for any kind of project, but I want to start in my field of expertise, which is video game development. But eventually I will go wider. So the current live stream are to gather around a team of game dev amateurs or beginners, juniors, to be with me create a game. In exchange, I will teach them freely on the live session. If you want to have a one-on-one teaching, you can become a Patreon in the link below. I have put a couple of links. There is one to my Patreon. Or you can join the Discord. Other will help you. I would aim to help only the Patreon if I can restrain myself. So, or if you just want to support, give a little support, you can give me a tips. There it is in the links. One of the link in the description below. Otherwise, I would be helping anyone during the live session, the live stream, anyone, even the one that are not Patreons, but especially the one that are not Patreon. I hope that the Patreons will not interfere and let the people have advantage of the live stream, other people that are not Patreon. So I went over all the position, almost all. I thought I forgot about the programmers yesterday when I went over and I looked at what position was left to be covered. So I forgot the programmers. I thought that Monday I would start over. I think I would do like a fast one, a mix of the community manager and programmer, because I have a new. I started a new thing for you. It's the documentation. The English stream are not aware of what was going on in the French stream. While I was doing the researches if all the episodes in French, I had trouble with finding resources in French. It was like a ratio of 1 to 10 from French to English. So for about like 10 amount of resource in English, there was like 1 amount of resource in comparison. So the French resource is very, very, very. It lacks a lot. especially because English is the, as we say in French, it's the business language. I don't know if it's said that way in other language, but we say English is the business language. Most of other nations speak English because of colonization and etc. Because English was the main language. So I think that that's one of the reasons why there is so few information help in French in other languages. So I started to do a documentation, and I might continue it during the live stream, so you can see a bit what is going on. Sorry, my nose is always itchy. I don't know why. It's like growing. Sorry. Okay. Okay. So then I have my usual segment at the beginning of the stream, and it's to go scout the web for someone asking for help, and then do a slight promotion tactic. The Discord link might be broken in my website. I forgot to correct it. I will try to, because it was a 7-day link expiring after 7 days. So I will correct it eventually. I can use one in my documentation because I corrected it over there. A little light that flashes. What is going on? Okay. So the Discord, it's I don't like that it doesn't work. I need to do something right now. And to do this, it's in my documentation. Over there, Discord. I will put it right away in the description of the video that is currently live, which is there. Sorry, you won't see anything, but I'm going to change it, add it at the bottom of the links if you want to join my Discord. Right now it's been corrected. So next, the segment about start soon. Sorry for the inconvenience. So I'm going to my preferred place for that. Not forgetting to show you the screen. And of course, Reddit is still broken. Yeah, Reddit is still broken. So what I would do is take that, copy it over there, take that, and add quotation marks for Google code that way. So just move the light. I want new, you see it's 7th month. I want new stuff, and I want only Reddit. I have other stuff. So to get only Reddit, you type site, you copy reddit.com with the HTTP, and you put it there. That way you only have Reddit. Now for the dates, you go to Tools, Advanced Search, and past 24 hours. That is how you use Google. So hope this one I didn't answer it yet. This question probably gets asked a lot here, but I want to ask, as someone who has idea of game development but knows nothing about it, much less where to start, does anyone have advice? I did answer something similar yesterday, I think, so I will go over it. I will keep it on the side, but if I don't find anything else, I will go back to it. Do experienced game dev learn how to structure a game class? How many method variable in many object and design it will pattern design? Of course, that's why you use classes, but it seems to be answered pretty well working in the FNB industry. What is the FNB? Frequent breakfast? Food and beverage. And I would like to get into game development. Google the topic. Okay, that's one of our guy that can work with us. I'm currently doing live streams about creating games with amateurs. In exchange, I give free lesson to anyone interrupting the live stream. I'm looking I'm building a team of I'm building a team of beginners to help them to create a game together. Sorry for the fast typing with lots of grammar mistakes. I'm building a team of beginners. Great. As a technical artist for 3 years. All day life stream. If you want to come in, if you want to jump in, give us a visit at by Nathan Thesis on YouTube. Your question was on the last live during okay, that would be for the segment of slight promotion. I will be honest with you. Okay, now community managers. The position for community manager, I saw a GDC about that. That was interesting. GDC was a guy that only worked in the community marketing. I think it might be this one. I will take a look. But GDC is a very good place to. Oh no, it's not.
Seeing a community.
This one. It was a guy, a specific guy, and his name was prominent. What would be his name? I think I had him in bookmarks in my other browser. Let me search. This one. Sorry for the interval. So the guy was saying, while I'm searching, the guy is saying in his video that he says that a lot of the current way of doing community management is using Discord, the software. If you don't know what Discord is, it's like the old Skype or the ICQ type of software where gamers usually gather around. All my gamer friends, when they play together, they use Discord for to share their microphones while they play. In the days it was Skype. Before that it was ICQ or other similar software. I remember other software, but I can't name them. I don't remember. So he was saying how to attract potential clients to your Discord when you do game development. So like solution, personalized stream page, maybe publisher. Theme sales. I'm almost there. It was in game development, programming, video game dev, DDD, and open source, and planning development. Okay, I think I got it.
Did you know that you can make...
I open a couple
Developing
of my,
games is a dream.
favorites to see if I can find the guy. Little light flashing.
Hey there, Philip here, and
Not this guy. I think it's this guy. Oh, is that the same guy as... Oh, I think it's the same guy that I just rediscovered not long ago. But this is 2014. Discord. The guy had his own studio or something. Can be the same that I discovered not long ago. Can be the same guy.
Getting better reviews on Steam is always a good thing.
I don't find him. I don't think it's this one, but I will try to see if I remember.
My talk today is called Empathizing with Steam, How Buyers See Your Game.
Yes. I remember this guy. It's the guy I rediscovered.
So about a year ago,
this guy does a lot of interview right now. I seen him. I just rediscovered him because this was an old favorite I had in my Chrome. But this is not about community management. It's more about what kind of game should you do? What is popular in Steam? What are the statistics? What you shouldn't do? What game is usually a failure? And it gives a lot of good tips. Maybe sometimes there's a lot he says that you need to ignore, maybe because it's like when you ride a bike and someone say, no, don't do this, yes, do this, no, you end up being too overthinking stuff. So you do watch him like one, twice. Don't take everything for granted. You do what you want to do, even if it doesn't fit exactly what is statistic is showing, because statistic does say a lot, but sometimes the success is the exception that confirms the rule. Success is sometimes, not always, but sometimes it's the one that in regards of the rules, in regard of the statistic, they find a way to bypass everything. So it's good to know the rules, need to know the rules, but you can ignore them eventually. It's better to know them, to watch everything that he says, than to not learn about what he can teach you, but also not adhere to everything that he says. So that's not the guy, because it's not community management. It was a game popular. He made his own studio.
I want to actually send out a congratulations to a couple applications that were just launched on Google Play while that talk was going on. So if any of you pushed the publish button on this, give yourself a round of applause. Flappy Toaster. Nobody? No.
Continue. Maybe YouTube will be better for that. I guess he should be one of the top, and his name should be visible, because he seemed to be if I remember well, his name was showing in the title. It was not old. It was quite recent. So, like, not more than 3 years or something. I would try this one because it seems to cover things like that. Seemed. date this year. I don't think this year he might not have done anything. I can search by years.
Hard to maintain.
No.
Some days are
was like very dynamic and not very shy. Maybe management is too much. Oh, that seems to be something like that. Oh,
and actually forming a little group.
I think I will ask the AI, see what he can find it for me. Perplex. Who's 3DC attendant speaker who talks about community management on Discord. He is a guy with his own studio. Speaker. Let's see if it can help. Maybe this one. List a couple of other guys who fit this exact description. That's rings a bell. GDC. That rings a bell. It's it doesn't seem to be that. Try Mr. Adam Kuta. GDC. No.
All right, we'll get started. Hello, everyone.
It was. Well, I will say what he was saying. He was giving tricks on how to attract people on Discord, which is sometimes hard to imagine, because you need to know what people would adhere to get into your Discord, what kind of gift you can give and that you have in your possession that would attract anyone to your Discord when you're developing a game. And I don't remember much more than this specific thing, but I found it relevant for today, for our as long as Discord is relevant, and it doesn't seem to be going away for long. I'm a bit intense when I need to find something. You need GDC speaker. You need the most funny names of the speakers studio. About community connection Discord. If many of them. Yeah. No, is I really think it's this guy. I really think it rings a bell. It really rings a bell. I'm not sure. Maybe my memory is mixing people, but we'll see.
My name is Mike Rose. I am from publishing label
No More
Robots. Thank you very much for coming. I appreciate the Google keynote is on right now. So
I want to watch this with you while I'm preparing the documentation, because that way we have someone who knows way much about it, and then you can see a bit of the production behind the scene. So I will put there my documentation for you that I'm creating, and on the side we will watch at the same time, and I will make breaks to give comments comment what he is saying if I need to. Where is my... Where is my little pony? While I'm searching, I will...
Very happy. I was like, no one's going to turn up to this, but you have. That's really nice of you. Thank you very much. So yeah, today, as part of the sort of game discoverability day, I'm going to be talking about how I do community stuff, because a lot of the stuff that I do in No More Robots is very community-based now. And I'm going to be talking a whole bunch about Discord as well, and you're going to think that I'm some kind of Discord shill, and I basically kind of am at this point, but it's very useful all the same. So at any one time, there is always this big thing that helps sell video games, right? So years ago, it used to be people were saying, you got to get press, you got to get all the press to talk about your games. And then people were saying, no, get the YouTubers, get PewDiePie to play your game, and you'll make a bunch of money. And then it was Twitch streamers. And at this point, all of these things are still pretty useful. You know, you still want to be getting press and YouTubers and Twitch streamers playing your game. But really, at the moment, the thing, at least from my perspective, and it seems like from a lot of other people are realizing this as well, is that community building is the thing that's really driving players to buy your game right now. Community building always has been. You know, over the years, there's always been forums and I guess IRC before then. There's always been a lot of games that have had massive buzz around them. A lot of the time, they have had a nice community presence. Right now, I believe that community building has sort of become the #1 thing that you want to be pushing for with your game when you're trying to sell it. So I'm going to talk a bunch about that. Yeah, I'm Mike Rose. I was originally a writer. I used to write about video games, and then I sort of jumped the fence and I worked for a publisher called Tiny Build for a while. We did a bunch of games, and then because I'm an egotistical maniac, I was like, I can do this myself. So a couple of years ago, I started No More Robots. It's gone all right. We've had some pretty nice releases. We had a mountain biking game called Descenders, which did quite well for us. Last year, I put out a Brexit management game called Not Tonight. That went down really well on the internet. And weirdly, that one did really well. And then last week, we just put out Hypnospace Outlaw, which is a 90s internet simulator. And that's done quite well as well. We got a game called Family Man coming up. We've got a few other games in the pipeline as well. Yeah, that has been the stress of my life for the last couple of years, and will continue to be so. So the thing I should say is that there's loads of talks about like community building and stuff like that, right? You can find a load of them, even just on the GDC Vault. I specifically today want to talk about how you actually start it in the first place, because I think a lot of people struggle with that bit. There's loads of stuff online where it's like, here's what you do with your community. You've got this community, but no one seems to ever talk about, I've got 0 people interested right now. How do I make that number be bigger than 0? And it's actually, from my perspective, when you know what you're doing, it actually is kind of simple. There's some steps that I follow to make this happen. So what I'm going to do is, instead of just being vague and dancing around the subject, I'm just going to straight tell you the step-by-step thing that I do with every game. I'm announcing a new game in about 3 weeks, and this checklist, this step-by-step guide, is literally what I am going to follow, just before we announce this game. So if you follow this, then you can essentially just do the stuff I do, and you don't need a publisher anymore. Hey, I won't be talking about stuff like moderating communities, etc. Because again, I think there's already a ton of talks on this kind of thing, toxicity, etc. Yeah, there's already plenty of people who have talked about this, who quite frankly can probably talk about it better than me as well. So yeah, like I say, this is going to be just a straightforward, here's what I do, and you can do it too. These are the things that I use when I am building communities. So Discord, I'll talk about that in a second. It's all there. I mean, you can see here there's nothing where it's like, that's crazy, he's using that. Google Forms, MailChimp, Steamworks, it's all stuff that I imagine if you've at least even worked in games a little bit, you've probably used these things. There's no like crazy magic program that I'm using. I use all the obvious things. So Discord, the reason that I do all my community building through Discord is because what has happened with Discord is it kind of came out of nowhere, right? It just started building and building. I think between like 2017 and 2018, they had something crazy like 120 million extra people sign up to it. And I think they say right now that they have
Yeah, that's about the time we went from Skype to Discord. It's when I started 3D modeling formation in campus AD, and
like 10 million like active people who are using Discord on a daily basis. The reason why that is amazing compared to other possible platforms that you might think of using is that if somebody has signed up to Discord, there is a high chance that they like video games. It's a video game platform. So you already know that anybody who is on Discord is probably a potential person who might want to buy and play your games. The other thing with Discord as well is that if somebody signs up for your server in the first place, so for anybody who's not aware of how it works, you can get a link essentially, and someone clicks this link and they join your server. If somebody has clicked the link for your server, then already they've shown that they are interested in following your game just by joining your server in the first place. So it's like you'll have this server that you're filling up with people, and they are all people who have already specifically, by clicking that link, told you, I am interested in your game. So they all become like potential customers, and if you get thousands and thousands of people to join your server, then obviously that's pretty nice. The other thing with Discord as well is that there's just loads of cool stuff you can do with it that I think a lot of people aren't aware of. There's all of these sort of you can just run bots and scripts in there. You don't even need to know any coding whatsoever, quite frankly. There's thousands of people who have already made bots that you just install in your server that will just do cool stuff for you and will automate whole systems for you. I'll be talking about what I use some of the bots for later, but the overall is that Discord is just a really, really good place to be collecting people who are interested in your game right now. So yeah, let's just do this step by step. Discord, one thing to do if you're looking at this and you're thinking, I don't even understand what Discord is. I guess if you're sort of under 35, it's Skype, except it works. If you're over 35, it's just a glorified IRC. It's literally just chat rooms where people can hang out. You can create a server. So you can see this here is the server for Descenders. And you can see all down the left is just all the different channels people can join. In the middle is just where they can chat to each other. On the right is all the users. It's very simple. If you don't, if you're still a bit like, I don't completely understand Discord, go and read about it. Honestly, it's an incredibly simple platform and you'll get it in no time. So here is how I set up servers. So first off, make a server, give it a name. Once you've done that, you go get it verified by Discord. Discord will verify any server from a developer or publisher who is making a game. So you go to this link, you enter all the details of the server, explain to them what the game is. Getting the server verified is incredibly useful, not just because it makes it look more legit to players and makes it so that they're possibly more likely to join, but you also get a bunch of other benefits as well. You can get a custom URL for it, so discord.gg/descenders, discord.gg/hypnospace. It's a lot easier to link that than discord.gg/invite/ a bunch of letters. It's just easier for people to remember it, and they're just far more likely to click it. And they just actually added this new feature, which is rather nice, where they now have just a public catalog of all of the verified servers on Discord. So users can now actually just look through all the verified servers. I think there's only like a few hundred of them right now that are actually verified. So if you have a verified server right now, obviously you get a nice little bit of visibility from that, from people who might actually be interested in your game. So the first thing is just setting up the bog standard channels that I think should be in every single Discord server. So I see some people have like a welcome and a rules channel. I mix them into one. Literally just a channel that it kind of throws people into in the first place, where they can see all information about the game, they know how to behave. An announcements channel, this is where only you are going to be talking in that one, and that's the one where you're going to be notifying people. This is going to be incredibly important later. There's a thing in Discord called @everyone, where if the person who owns the server types @everyone, it pings every single person who is in your server. It throws a notification onto their phone, straight onto the home screen of their phone, telling them you've been pinged. Again, imagine how useful that is if you've got 5,000, 10,000 people in your Discord server who are interested in your game, and you can now directly just throw a notification onto their phone about a thing. And then I usually have a channel.
When that occurs, I just mute the channel, so don't try to avoid it. You can make rules in your Discord. Like you can go there and it's in French, mine. So really, I don't use French, but I think it took it from Windows or something. So you can set the rules in your channels, specific channels. When someone is speaking, I put them into mute. I mute them so I don't receive the notification, but they are all activated by default. So every time I join a Discord, they pop a sound and I mute them. So this is my Discord. You can give roles. Wonder if I can put it in English. I put it in English because when you need documentation, help in any kind of way, it's way easier in English. What is that? Don't want to be in stream mode. So that's it. You can mute the server if it's popping sound. If the user are abusing the notifications. And you can put rules if you are a manager. Privacy roles. That would be server settings. You will create roles and you give them what they can do, what they cannot do, what the roles can do, cannot do. You prepare yourself so that they can't use certain things. Like by default, you can make them like this is everyone that enters the channel. I give them some access to things and remove access to other things. So you can link your Patreon if you have one.
So you see there's one called Descenders here. That's the place where people just talk. It's just the base place where everyone's talking, just named after your own game. You'll have like a mod channel as well, because when you first open the floodgates of your Discord server, then it'll get kind of crazy. But the first time with the Descenders Discord, the first time I did it, I did not completely understand Discord at this point. And I remember the day I opened it and thousands of people started flooding in, and it was chaos. And that will happen to you as well, and you will be so scared because the first time you do it, you just no idea what it's going to be like. There's just people will find ways to abuse your server in ways that you couldn't think was possible, using commands that you didn't know existed. There was on the day that I launched the Descenders Discord, I'd accidentally made it so that people could use a command to make just sort of like a Microsoft voice read everything in the server to everybody who was in the server. So all of a sudden there was just hundreds of people like just screaming because there was a voice on their computer talking to them. That was horrible. But and it'll happen to you. It'll happen to everybody who first uses Discord will be like, I don't understand the permissions or anything. I think it's good to learn by failing a little bit on this. But there's plenty of documentation you can read as well on Discord to make sure it doesn't happen. But yeah, these, from my perspective, these are the kind of bog standard channels I will always put into every server that I run. What I will then have is what I call entry point channels. And these are interesting because what they do is, I believe, they force people who are joining your Discord server to engage a little bit more. They add an extra level of, I'm forcing you to do a thing to be able to use my Discord server. So right now you can see all the channels there, but that's because I'm an admin, so I get to see all the channels. What will normally happen is when someone joins the Descenders server, All they will be able to see is the pick a side channel, and that's it. Well, the welcome channel as well, but just below it, pick a side. They go into the pick a side channel, and it tells them that they need to enter a command to pick a team. We've got 3 teams in the game.
This is very interesting. What he didn't say right away. I think he will say it a bit further. But I think it's a good idea to create teams that are working against each other like a game. Creating games within the users.
Enemy, Arboreal, and Kinetic. And the idea is that we give them information in the welcome channel about these 3 teams and say to them, you can't access the server until you've picked a team. And once they enter a command, that pick a side channel disappears, and the rest of the server opens up, including special channels that are just for that team. It also, if you look on the screen, you can see that people have different colors. It colors their name with the team they picked. So the whole point of this is that they already, the moment they join the server, feel like they're part of something. They have no idea what. You know, we did this before the game had come out. They had no idea what it even meant to pick a team. But the level of, we essentially had people just, you know, trash talking each other and bigging up their teams and banding together, all because their name was a different color. And it's this kind of thing. If you don't have something like this, I think it can cause people to just join a Discord server and then just sort of be like, all right, well, I don't see anything to do here, so I'm going to leave again. It forces people to.
I'm not the kind of people who do things in Discord. I have a lot of Discord. I only do things in the work environment and LAN party Discord, but all the others, I really don't use them. I'm just there to see the updates, usually. This is like video game studios in Montreal, Chasing Rats, Thunder Lotus, Larian Studio in Quebec. You know, they worked on Baldur's Gate 3. Unreal development, if you need the help in Unreal. I think it's not official. It's not Unreal because I see Unity stuff there. A mod for Bannerlord, a co-op mode. I think it's maybe dead. It's a mode to play a multiplayer. Mountain Blade. I don't know if it's dead or not. It seems to be still alive. Winter Kills limited time event. Outlast in Montreal. Horror game. Very popular horror game. Sabotage Studio in Quebec City. They do a little RPG game that looks really, really good. It's Sea of Star. You probably heard of it. They won Game Award last year. It's very well done. Very well done. It's like all higher RPG, but with very good graphics. The artists are something else. They were I think there is a popular Japanese RPG creator that talk about them last year when they won the Game Award. This is Pixels Games. It's a studio. I was trying to find an internship. That's why I have so much Clever Play Studios. Flying Carpets Games. All a little studio in Montreal. In Quebec. This is my help Discord. This is the Cherno. This guy creates a 2D, 3D engine in C++. You can get help with there. I usually never use help. This is One Army, Plastic Army. It's a community of people who build home recycling tools, and you can recycle bottles and create object with recycled plastic. They are in difficulty right now. If you want to help, they are trying to create a new tool that will enhance the community, because they give open sources tools to recycle plastic. So One Army, others programming help, Discord, which I never use. I'm interested in following the 3D AI generation, because I was a 3D artist, so I have a lot of Discord about 3D AI generation, and they are getting better and better as the time goes. There is a Midjourney for pictures, generating pictures. Open Assistant was an assistant early in the early days of ChatGPT. They were trying to create a free open source LLM assistant. This is a YouTuber, Yannick Culture. If you don't know him, you can check it up. He was someone who worked on it. I think I remember they made an update. It was like the end of the development. Like you see, 2023 stop there. They made the model, but this sector of LLM is growing so fast that they can't keep up with people working for free. They just have to wait to the next new model. I remember Facebook models was not yet free at that time. It was not yet open source, I think. And then it went open source, and they might have lost interest, because other models went open source. Midjourney, Solar's Vision was one of the 3D render thing. I think they died because there are many language model creating 3D now. There are many more. It was one of the first one I remember, but I think they died. What is stable projectors is it's another 3D AI model. There are other that I don't follow on Discord because it went too far away now. I just follow them on Facebook. The one on Discord there may be dying, or because they are new, and it's not the cloud 3D generation. It's Polygon, and which is harder. There are less content made in polygons. Cloud-based. A lot of people scan cloud-based 3D models with scanner or smartphones and put it for free on the internet. But polygon models are made by hand by artists, which is hard to find. And when you train a model like that, you need a lot, like 1 million models with names files like JSON files or any kind of file which say the name of the model, the prefix that would be used to train the language model with the description, and everything needs to be in containers with the same structures. And then you have to have millions of models. There are free packages, but they have licenses for scientific purposes only. But usually I think they hire someone that scout the web and steal the 3D models there, here and there, and they train the model on those models or on their 3D meshes, on those 3D meshes. So that's it. This is cloud. This is not Polygon. It looks very cloud-based 3D generator, but this seems to be Polygon. Yeah, it's Polygon based, which usually made by hand. But you see that it's getting closer to what a 3D artist can do, which is scary for 3D artists. But I think that it will go out of fashion eventually for a couple of reasons. It will be trained only on the model they find on the internet, and people will eventually stop putting models. There are a lot of mistakes in those things that can be looked upon, not look upon, like overlooked. The holes in the mesh are not very optimized in the proper ways, because it's a language model, and there is also like, you think you can take this thing and create your meshes, but people will notice as time go on models that are made with AI like picture, because you can see there are defects, and you need an artist to correct those defects, and eventually people will be more and more accustomed to those models with weird things going on, and they will more and more notice when something is made with AI. Like, it's already, I can spot many things because I work in that, but I see people starting to notice on the comments section. I remember in the first day I saw AI pictures and no one knew in the comment section, but now I see a lot of comments saying this is AI. A lot at every picture that I know it is AI. I see people, even though it's getting better, people are having a muscle memory, finding the little spot, and as you see, you still need an artist to go on the model and paint it, correct the model. I don't think that you can do a lot of customization things, models like that. You will have, like, you want to use this, you will have to hire someone, because people will complain about your use of AI eventually, and it's the complaints are growing. I can see anti-AI movement on Facebook that are small right now, but it's an indication of what is coming. And there is a lot of layoff in the game industry, and people say no, it's not because of AI, it's the economy. but I think the owner of studios of AAA's, like the action owner, I don't remember the name in English. They might think, okay, we will hire, we will hire less artists and tell them to use AI. I've been in a conference about AI in the game industry, and there was people at there was speakers who worked in studios, and they said that the employers were asking artists to use AI, and the artists were refusing. And I think it's natural. It's something that probably occurs in other studios, in Ubisoft and big AAAs, and they try to convince the artists to use AI to go faster, especially the one that is long processed, that has long processes. They are probably creating their own AI to train on their using their artists as a training asset, and people will eventually, of course, go against that process, and it will create the AI will always be behind at some point, always be not always, but for a long time AI will be behind because they will be trained in what is available to them. We see AI doing stuff, most of the stuff that an artist can do, but we think it's all the stuff that AI can do. We think AI can do everything because right now it does everything that an artist do, but we forget that art is evolutive. That means there are trends, and the AI can do the trends that we are doing, but it cannot do the trends that the AI do is the AI trend, which is too much fingers, glitches. So it will be long before AI can do a trend on its own that is not a mistake. And if the AI is not trained with the new trends, like artists are retracting their result and is using old method of hiring of portfolios, not putting them online, then the AI will be only trained on the last years of artists' trend that was exposed to AI. Eventually, it will be in robots, but we are not there yet. And robots will go around in the world and see models. So there will be like some kind of restriction of robot, where robots will not be allowed everywhere because they can see and be trained by seeing. So art stuff would be limited, and robots won't be allowed to see art. And there are things like that can occur. That I say that as is, as it will happen, but it's a possibility. It's a possibility I see happening. So let's continue.
Actually do an action, which then can lead them to do more actions. Now, this stuff is really simple. So there's a bot called Dino, and honestly, it's just the best Discord bot. It does a whole bunch of permission stuff. This is the code, as if this is code. This is the code I had to write just to make this work. You can see all that happens is they type in one of these teams, it gives them that role, and then it just, in the specific channel for that team, will kind of welcome them so that then it pings them in that channel to show them, look what you have now. And it also then causes other people to say hi to them because someone else has joined the channel. Honestly, this is as difficult as it gets in terms of the sort of coding you need to do. It's all very simple. And just these things here, and then this is just the permission side of it. So essentially all you're saying is that in the pick a side channel, if somebody is on Team Arboreal, Enemy, or Kinetic, then make it so that they can't read or send messages anymore. So before they could, when they were in the channel, they were able to see messages. Once they've picked a team, their permissions are removed from that channel, and they can't see it anymore. And then imagine with all the other channels, you flip it. So originally, they had no permissions in all the other channels. Then once they pick a team, it gives them permissions in all the channels. It's that straightforward, quite frankly. It really doesn't take any more than that. You can go a little bit crazier, which I'll kind of mention a little bit later with some of the idiotic things we've done. But realistically, just doing this is enough, quite frankly. So once you've set up, like what I think that's sort of the basics of setting up the Discord server, you then want to think about what it is that is keeping people in your Discord server. I talk a lot about thinking of like the hook for your game, and it's kind of the same thing. Like, why do people want to not only join your Discord server, but stick around? When I did Descenders, we went for a very simple thing. They've picked a team, and so they're all different colors now. And then at this point, we started doing weekly challenges for them. We'd say to them at the start of the week on a Monday, we want you to battle it out doing this thing this week. And it was always extremely silly things. One week it would be, we want you to do fan art for your team. The next week, we want you to do trash art for the other teams. We want you to write haikus this week. It's nothing crazy. It's just silly little things they can do, which just keep them engaged. And you can see that all of these channels at the bottom, like I was saying, for example, Team Arboreal people would only see the Team Arboreal channel using permissions. It worked really well for the Descenders when we first announced the Descenders server, because as well, this approach is quite hands-off. There's not a ton that you have to do here. It was essentially on a Monday I'd post a challenge, and on a Friday I'd post the results of the challenge, and whichever team had won the challenge, they would get things like we'd tell them they were going to get a special kit when the game came out. You can have custom emotes in Discord, so we tell them each week, we'll give your team a custom emote for your team. And so then they would start using...
This is like the hard part. It's finding something, not what he says, but something similar. Trying to find an idea that is interesting. And of course it might not work forever, might not work all the time, so you need to engage your imagination to do little games with people, so they participate and they want to stick with the community. Of course, I will eventually have to do this with you, and I will try to find things that you can reuse if you want. I'm not greedy, but I'm someone who has a lot of imagination, and I have tricks to have imagination that I can share you, can give you. Again, I already have a live stream on how to. It's my first live stream on Driven by Mayhem Disease on YouTube. You can check it out if you want to know how to have a fertile imagination.
Using those emotes to then essentially trash the other teams. Most of the teams just basically tried to collect the letters of their names so that they could then just spell them all out. But yeah, this worked really well. When we came to do the Discord for Not Tonight, because I'm crazy, I just always want to take it a step too far, or at least a step further than we did last time. So I tried to do some weird permission stuff that also kind of worked out. So the whole point in our game Not Tonight is that you're a bouncer, and you're deciding whether to let people in or out. I wanted to make it so that people in the Not Tonight Discord could essentially go to work and earn money. So the idea would be that they would be able to see home, they'd be able to see their home channel, but nothing else. And then they type a command, and it would open up places for them to work and remove their home. And then after they decided they'd done a day's work, they could then type a command to go back home. Again, it was very, very simple to set this up. It was just Dino again, so I'm literally just making it so that I add a role called Bouncer to them so that they can then see the channels which have the permissions for Bouncer. Then when they type in njob, it removes Bouncer, so all of those channels disappear. I coupled this with a bot called Unbelievable Pizza, which is a great name. And this is just essentially, it's the currency bot that I now use for all my servers because it's extremely useful. It's very custom. There's just so much customization you can do to it. I could pick the type of currency. I could pick how fast people would get the money. I could give them things to buy using the money. And this came in useful later when I would tell them, right, if you earn this much money, you can then buy a character in the full game, or you can name a pub in the game. Or there was like the grand prize, which was a free copy of the game that people were rushing to try and win. But again, incredibly simple. I just installed 2 bots and wrote those tiny bits of code there, and that sort of set up an entire server. Which then the great thing about the Not Tonight server was that it just worked by itself. I didn't really have to do much to it. This whole currency thing was just running itself. And so I could just walk away for weeks, and people would have fun playing this game that I'd set up. When it came to Hypnospace, I went too far. Don't do this. I set up an entire 90s internet within a Discord server. I actually got a guy, yeah, it's not right. I actually got a guy, I found a guy who had written a Discord bot, which nearly did the thing I wanted to do. I messaged him and I said, here's the insane thing I'm trying to do. And he said, I can write that for you. So what happens here is that someone can go to the search engine channel and they can see all the pages that people have made, and they can type a command to join the server. So normally what would happen is, again, because I'm admin, I can see all the channels. People wouldn't be able to see all these channels, and they'd have to search in the search engine for a page and join it to add it to the Discord server. They can then type a sort of like a !create to make a web page that only they would be able to edit and other people could join. It was too much, this, quite frankly. It was fun, and people were joining and being like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. I don't think you need to do this. I don't think this server benefited more than the Not Tonight one did, and it was way more work. But, you know, if you're crazy like me, then maybe this is something you want to try and do. Okay, so at this point, you've now got your Discord server all set up with all the right channels, and you've got some kind of hook for why people are going to join and then not immediately leave. Everything at this point is now incredibly simple. You make a channel that is just beta sign up. We're doing a multiplayer beta for Descenders right now, so this is a channel that I have live right now. It just links to a Google form where people are just signing up. As simple as that, just a Google form asking them for their name and email address. The idea is that they're just going to be going through your Discord server, finding the link to the Google form and signing up there. So you've now got them in 2 places. You've now got them directly so you can talk to them within the Discord, and you've now got them on a mailing list so you can keep them up to speed with what is happening to the game. Both incredibly useful in their own way. And at this point, so what I normally do is I normally now link this up with the announcement of a game. So if your game is already announced, then obviously you could change this up. But what I would normally do, everything I've done up to now, I've done in secret, kind of behind the scenes, not told anyone. And then when it comes to the announcement of the game day, then this is when I start spamming the link for the Discord to everybody that I possibly can, along with telling them, if you go here, you can sign up to play in the upcoming closed beta for the game. And that's the hook for why they are coming in the first place. I see people sort of, they announce a game or they just make a Discord for their game, and they just sort of say, hey, people, join my Discord so you can keep up to speed with my game. And unfortunately, the vast majority of players aren't going to do that. They won't just join a Discord server to hang out, because they're already probably in a dozen other Discord servers. The whole point of timing the come here to sign up to be able to play an early version of the game, that's the reason why they come in. And they do come in. If you do this right and you sort of get the link out to as many places as possible, you can get thousands and thousands of people to sign up to your server. It's genuinely really not that hard to do. Before I'd done it and before we were going to do Descenders, I wonder how many people are going to sign up to this. It might not be that many. And I think in like 2 days, we got like 7,000 people join the server because they were so desperate to play an early build of the game. So there's loads of places I've kind of listed here, which are great ways to get people. One of the interesting ones is there's loads of sites on the internet that are sort of like freesteamkeys.com and all that, where people who just want free games are just going. It seems like it's pointless to put them on there because, if those people are just going to grab your game for free, why would they pay for it? But the thing that I've found is that actually it is really useful because on the one hand, you get a ton of people playing the game early, and whether or not they're going to buy it in the end, the feedback is useful, and it just means that it looks like there's even more buzz around, the playing of your game and all of these different people playing it early.
Giving your game freely at restricted people, like a Steam case. You generate your Steam case for your game, and then you distribute to get people to sign anywhere you want, like on your Discord.
I've also found as well that a lot of the time, these people...
It doesn't cost you a lot. It gives you some kind of a way to, even if they would have bought your game or not, maybe they would never have thought about your game. You look for people that would love your game, like you go on a place where there are people liking the type of game you do.
Who may not
4K,
really buy games,
RPGs or etc.
that are just looking for free games. They'll join your Discord. They'll see there's some cool people around. They'll be fascinated by the idea that they just joined a server and now they can talk directly to the developer, because that doesn't happen very often, right? Like we launch a Discord server and there's people.
He says that, but it's 5 years ago. Now every studio, like you said, you just saw on my. He probably started doing that by watching this guy.
Who are just like, this is so cool that I can just
saying the same thing
right directly now, talk to the people who are making this game. And that a lot of the time I found converts a lot of people who have told me, I just joined this just to play some free stuff, but I've now got so much into this that I'm more than happy to buy it at launch. So yeah, these are all the places I do. Another thing you can do as well is you can talk to some of the sort of big press sites. People like PC Gamer, PC Games N, and people like that will do sort of beta giveaways with their viewership, I guess. And that can be very useful as well. You sort of throw 5,000 Steam keys at them, and they will bring on extra people. Of course, those people aren't coming into your Discord as well, so you're kind of missing that angle. But again, it's pretty useful to just have more people playing your game, quite frankly. And then, again, incredibly simple. This is just the checklist of stuff that I then do when I'm then running the beta. What I normally do is I normally have it so that we announce a game and a Discord and have people joining. We leave it a few weeks, and then a few weeks later, we then run the beta for the game. What this normally makes happen is that we get the boost of people joining when we announce, and then 3 weeks later, we get a second boost of people as we say that week, this is happening this week, and more people start talking about it that week. So you kind of get this second burst. But again, it's very simple. I normally set up a separate product on Steam, literally just buy a second product for, I don't know how much it is now, $80, $100, something like that. Yeah, just pick a weekend and go for it. If you've not used MailChimp before, it's very simple to use. It's literally just assign Steam keys for each of the email addresses you've been collecting through the Google form and email them all on the date that your beta starts. You want to, I've seen people when they do this say like, oh, we'll just let it run, just let the beta run, or we'll do it for a month or something. I think it's a good idea to have it for a very set period of time. And I've actually done both, and I found that the very concentrated one works so much better because people know when they see that it's only going to happen between these 3 to 5 dates, they make sure to play it. And so you get far more, again, it's the concentrated, lots of people all talking about it at the same time. So yeah, I always stick to that. And then again, Discord can be really useful at this point for collecting bugs, essentially. And you can set up a channel that's just bug reporting, and you can have a form in there where you tell them this is how we want you to provide the bugs for us. Because if you don't say that, then you can imagine what happens. Just sort of a million people all shouting, this doesn't work, that doesn't work, and it's just not useful whatsoever. It's just noise. So yeah, it's good to get that kind of thing sorted. And just another channel for suggesting features. Again, it's probably the case, as bad as it sounds, that 90% of the things people are suggesting are not going to be useful. But then again, if a lot of people keep suggesting the same thing, then it's probably a sign that that might actually be a cool thing. And this whole time as well, of course, you can be asking.
That will be driven eventually. That's why I create driven. So there is more like an engagement with the client, the potential client, the consumer, the players, and the developer, rather than developer doing what they think the user wants. Now that would be the other way around. Sometime I think I will introduce to the limitation of feature scope. That way there is, like Ford said, the consumer does not know what he wants. So there's two sides of the coin. Is like sometimes the consumer knows what he wants, he needs to try it. But sometimes you know a bit more, like Ford, when he did his industry of car building cars, he said customer don't know what they want. They want more horses, because in that time people had either horses or cars, and people not everyone knew about cars, what cars can do. They might thought it was ridiculous. And then he said people don't know what they want, the customer don't know what they want more horses. So he created a way to create cars that are better than horses, that are less sturdy in the sense of pickle cleanup, and the cars can have power, a lot of power. You control the energy way better. Your car will not get as much tired as a horse, etc. But people didn't think about that back then. They think I need more horses to bypass the health issues of the horse. So sometimes you know better than consumer, but you need to make them try what you know better to confirm. And of course there are Kickstarter and other crowdfunding platforms which does this, but Kickstarter you need to build some kind of you need to create the build up around your product to get attention. But driven is more like previous phases. Maybe we might use Kickstarter in driven to propose to the project manager, like you will be able to create a feature, propose a feature to someone and say you should start a Kickstarter right now. Now is the moment to prepare your Kickstarter or something like that. Sometimes it could be you don't need a Kickstarter, you can downvote the Kickstarter idea.
People to wishlist your game on Steam. Steam wishlists, if you're not aware, are incredibly useful. If you can get to a certain level of wishlist, it means that around the launch of your game, you're going to get sort of, in the Steam front page lists. It seems right now that like if you can get to about 8,000 to 10,000 Steam wishlists at launch, then that will cause your game to get featured in more lists. So that's maybe a number you want to be aiming for. But when you do this beta stuff through Discord, this is a time when you will see tons of people wishlisting the game, and you really want to be pushing hard for it at this point. So this should be where you're up to at this point. you've now run the beta. It's the end of the beta. It's now the period between you've done this public test, you've now got a server full of thousands of people who are interested in your game, and you now got to just make the dang thing. And it can be tricky at this point because now you've just got a ton of people who are every day saying, "Is the game out yet? Is the game out yet?" And it just, well, we all know how long it takes to make games, so it can be tricky to keep people happy at that period, and you might find people leaving because they feel like they're just sort of sat in a stagnant server at that point. So this point is where I sort of do the next step of what I do, which is that I run silly meta games for each of the games. And the idea here is that running up to the launch of the game, you want to keep people in your Discord happy by just running silly games that by the time that the launch of your actual game comes, they have to buy your game at that point because they are already so invested in what has just happened to them for the few months before then. It really is. I didn't really do a metagame for Descenders as much. It was more, we were just sort of trying to build hype in the server up to the launch. And I kind of wish I had done a metagame for it because then I did one for Not Tonight and Hypnospace, and you could really see by the time the game came out, people, that the stuff that we had done in the Discord had made it so that they were already hardcore, Hypnospace fans before Hypnospace had even come out. So I should probably explain better what I mean by this whole metagame thing. Essentially, at the very core of it, it's just doing a bunch of storytelling at people and getting them to be involved in that storytelling. So when we did the Not Tonight meta after we'd done the beta, I essentially set it up so that everybody in the server, they'd all picked a region when they first joined the server. So they had to pick whether they were in the north, the south, or the Midlands in the UK. And then we had general elections where everybody could vote on who they wanted to be the Prime Minister and the MPs. Once we had done that, then I started giving the Prime Minister and his MPs decisions to make each day. They started off all right at first, just like who should be taxed and all this kind of stuff. And by the end, it had got really horrible where I was essentially doing things like I'd tell one of the MPs that they were a spy and that they can't tell anyone, and they have to try and stay undetected for a week. And then midway through the week, I'd tell everybody else that there was a spy and just sit back and just watch what happened. And you can imagine what happened. A lot of the meta stuff that I do actually is very inspired by just a lot of, sort of like a lot of board games and card games really, and hidden role games. A lot of this really works in text form because you tell thousands of people some information that maybe is worrying information about the situation they're in, and all of a sudden they scramble together. They form little. There was people in the Not Tonight server who were making other servers that they were only inviting people who they knew wasn't the spy into, so that they could try and work together to work out who the spy was. This whole thing ended. We had a I said earlier that we had a prize that was to win a copy of the game, but it didn't just do that. Whoever got that prize, whoever managed to earn enough money to get that prize, would become king or queen of the server. And I didn't tell them this until someone won it. So then we had to have a king's coronation where hundreds of people all sat in voice chats listening to, just sort of random songs off YouTube, sort of UK royalty songs, while people the Prime Minister and other people just like role-played a coronation. They decided I was the Queen, so I had to sing the national anthem. And then I essentially made a bomb go off because it ties in with the game. In Not Tonight, it starts with a bomb going off, and the whole point is that it jumps back in time. You have to work out how we got to this point. And then we had it where we locked the server down. It was martial law until we could work out who the bomber was, and it got weird. But imagine by the time we got to the launch of the game, all of these people needed to buy the game at this point because they were already invested. They were already so invested. One of them was a king of the game. We put him in the game as you could get posters for the king, and there was a picture of him on a coin and stuff like that. Like, people had to get the game at this point because they just had to. So then when I came to do the Hypnospace one, I essentially took what I'd done and just tried to take it a step further. So there's a character in Hypnospace called Dylan Merchant who runs the operating system that you are playing in the game. And so I made a Discord account, called Dylan Merchant with his face, and I started talking to people, like doing announcements like, hey everybody, the new HypnoS update is coming out soon, and it all started off very nice, and everyone was like, oh, this Dylan guy's great, and I keep saying to them, oh, what would you guys like? Would you like this? Would you like that? And and then I said, like, would you like some monetization? And I started giving them Hypno coins, which is the currency in the game, which just means nothing, which you can only spend in the game and not in real life. So they all started earning Hypno coins, and then it started just getting really dark. And we kept talking about how there was an update coming out, but some people in the press were saying there was something wrong with it, and so we made a Y2K enforcement team, who were this team of about 20 users in the server who were only allowed to say nice things about MerchantSoft. If they saw anybody saying bad things about MerchantSoft, these people had to come along and crack down on it, make sure no one was saying bad things. It ended up with someone, again, winning a prize in the server, which made them become a cyborg called the Packard, who ran around with his bell. And then there was whistleblowers who knew that the new update on HypnoS was going to sort of overheat and destroy basically the entire internet. We had them running around a map where I made up rules for a small board game that they were all playing together. Again, it got really weird. And again, it just got to the point where when the game came out, there was no way these people who had been involved weren't playing, because they needed to see how Dylan was in the game. They needed to see if this Dylan who they've been talking to, they need to see what that bastard was up to next. Like they had to play the game. And everything that I do in the meta then ties into the game in some way. So this map here is actually like a mini recreation of a part in the game where you're moving around a map. So when people got up to this bit in the game, they were all like, oh man, look, it's this bit that we did in the meta. This is amazing. The whole point, the bottom line of this is that by running these things, it really builds hype in your server to the point where on launch day, you actually know your game's going to probably do pretty decently, because all of these people are going to go crazy over it, which is, again, obviously a massively useful thing. Like if you already know on launch day that you've got thousands of people who are quite frankly going to definitely buy your game on launch week, what more can you ask for right now? That's the dream, right? Knowing your game is going to sell. And that's kind of the point when we get to the launch of one of our games, we know it's going to sell at least this sort of base level of well, because we already can see all of these people are going to buy it. And there's loads of other benefits as well to doing this. So the day your game comes out, what we've found with our last few games is that we get a flurry of positive reviews on our Steam page, because all of these people want to buy the game, and they want to be one of the first to leave a review on Steam of it. They want to be able to leave a review and then link their review in the Discord saying, guys, I just reviewed it, and then other people will say, I reviewed it as well. And we all know that Steam reviews are pretty useful. The more and the faster you're getting Steam reviews, the more potential people are going to see that and are going to decide, yeah, go on then, I'll buy the game. It seems like people are enjoying this. And of course, then that just kind of rolls along. The more reviews you're getting and the more people who are playing it in a very small space of time. If you're funneling all of these people directly on launch day, that shoots you up the Steam charts. It's just a flurry of action that all happens on launch day, thanks to this Discord. I mean, obviously, there's outside sources as well. You're obviously still doing all the trying to get press and YouTubers and streamers, etc., to play your game. But you at least know that this chunk of people are going to be hardcore supporting your game on launch day. So yeah, I said a bunch of words, so this is just kind of a little roundup, just to really show how simple everything I've just said is. Nothing I've just said in the last, 45 minutes was really that hard in any way. The vast majority of what I do is incredibly simple. It can be a lot of work, is the one thing I would say. Especially, when I was talking about the meta stuff, that would be me every day doing announcements.
I think of a way I could use Discord to make Driven workable faster, but not, or like use the same mechanics that I want in Driven and use it in Discord at first with you. I would think about it. I would need to think about it, because there are laws in my country which prevent me from doing gambling games. But I would like you to receive something in return. It's very hard to counter it. I can manage to get the rights in my country, especially in my province in Quebec. It's a law that is only in Quebec about gambling. We can do, we don't have the right to create gambling games in Quebec. We can do contests. We need permits. So I can go and try to go over the processes to get permits. I will have to do because Driven is some kind of gambling thing. Because I want to gather the user votes and give a winner. Like you would go on Driven, create a project, and then people would upvote your project or downvote it with money, with different currencies, like a thumbs up, thumbs down would cost like $1 Canadian or American. It's not set yet. And then sorry for that. There are other currencies, but the thumbs up, thumbs down would be only for Driven. It's not convertible to money, but there are grants, which is you giving money. Let's say you buy 1 grant. It's I think it's a diamond, the icon, and then you would upvote with diamonds, and the people who, let's say you make a project in Driven, and then you create feature for your project, and people can propose feature by putting money. So they have to buy grants, propose features, and then the features will be voted by other people. They will be shown in the dashboard, so everyone sees the new feature, and they can upvote them or downvote them with thumbs down. And then when the feature arrives at its ultimatum, the one who has the most grant wins a part of the money, and the project manager win another part of the money. So it engage people into voting features, because there will always be a winner getting back a part of the voting, and there would need to be some kind of feature creation. Because someone will win a part of the money, everyone will start creating a lot of features, proposing a lot of features to the person, so that there are a lot of money that people upvote, and it creates a larger amount that is distributed at the end of the voting session. So that's the principle of Driven in a nutshell. There are many other things that I didn't explain that can be put right away, because they need to be tested, they need to be approved by the Driven community. Sorry, it's like my hair and nose are itching. I'm getting old and hairy.
Announcement in the afternoon, and then pretty much just sitting back and watching it happen, or maybe nudging it in different directions for the next couple of hours afterwards. It can be a lot of work, and so I guess something I would say is that if you're in a situation where you're looking at this and thinking, yeah, but I need to make my game, I don't have time for any of this, what is quite frankly stupid crap, I would find someone to do it for you. whether that's a partner or just bringing an extra person on, because it genuinely is. I think we all know at this point, this stuff is important now. It always kind of was, but it's just so important that you are actually getting. You can make the best game ever, but if you haven't done any of this kind of stuff and it gets to the launch day and no one knows it exists, that's obviously a terrible thing to happen for your game. But yeah, I would very much suggest starting off simple, not doing some of the stuff, for example, that I did with Hypnospace. Maybe start off less crazy than I have. And as well, you know, the stuff I talked about, there's other stuff you could be doing. There's this website, discordbots.org, where I found these bots that I use, and where there are thousands of bots that people have made that all do very specific functionality. And it's literally a case of you click the one you want and click the install button, and it installs into your server, and then you can tinker around with it. It's worth going there and just looking for weird stuff that you can do, because there's bound to be loads of ideas that I haven't thought of that would work very well, specifically for what the theme of your game is. Right, I'm done. Thank you very much for listening. There is time for questions. About 15 minutes, so there's a microphone there. I think if you basically just exactly what you're doing line up, then that's great. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Garrett.
Hello.
Oh, is this on?
It should be. Maybe try talking louder into it. I don't know.
Hello? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
At any time, did you feel like you were running a Stanford prison experiment?
It is interesting. Like, when I started doing this stuff, it's very hard. When I was just describing stuff to you then, I actually don't think I really got across like how crazy it gets. There was stuff. I went on holiday for 1 week in the summer last year, and I was basically just on my phone for the entire time, because there was people in the server in the Not Tonight server who had all convinced themselves that there was another spy in the server. I hadn't done anything. Like, I purposely tried to leave it for a week because I was trying to relax, and I did not really relax much because these people kept messaging me over and over again. Yeah, you don't know what it's going to be like until you do one of these community things, but you at least at the time know it's probably a good thing. Yeah.
Well, is there any like a point where you're like, oh my gosh, these guys are going too crazy. I need to like do something to like.
Do you know it can be? Yeah, we've Not Tonight, especially because it's about Brexit. It's a little bit of a political game, and that was a tricky one. It's kind of stuff I didn't really touch on, the moderation stuff. That one in particular got difficult at times because there were people who were talking politics as the meta, and they would have heated debates, and then someone would say, guys, calm down, and they'd say, oh, it's just meta. It's just the meta. We're just playing the meta. And at that point, you're like. No. Well, okay, but maybe, yeah, it was a difficult one. Hypnospace was easier because there was less politics about it, but yeah, people definitely go too far at times, and you need to sometimes just like take them to side, just like go into a direct message and say, I'm really happy that you're getting so involved with this and you're so enthused, but maybe use half the words you're using and don't use caps anymore. That would be really nice. Yeah. Cheers.
Hi there.
Hello.
So you said, in your talk you discussed doing this for various titles. How do you get buy-in and trust from the developers to handle their IP properly and take it in all these new directions to build up the game?
Yeah, a lot of the time what I do, especially before I start the meta stuff for a game, is I will have like chats with the developer where, I mean, by the time I do a meta, I normally, I would hope that I know the game pretty well at that point. But I like to sit with the developer and say, I'm planning to do this for the meta and use these characters. Does this fit into what you're doing? There's a game, the game that I'm announcing like in a few weeks is a game about like taking a journey from one place to another. And so for the meta for that one, right now my plan is to make the meta be starting from somewhere else, going to the start point of the game. So the idea is all of these people will play this Discord game, and they will get to this place. And when they get to this place, we'll tell them when you get here, we're launching the game. And then they will get to the place. Obviously, behind the scenes, I'm going to be controlling it, making sure they actually get there, and the game isn't delayed inevitably. But yeah, we're going to make it so they go there, and then the idea is the game will launch, and they will carry on their journey then. Like for them, it's the obvious kind of story arc. They're playing the next chapter of what they've already played. So yeah, it's definitely talking to a developer and working out, does this storyline make sense? Does this Discord setup make sense for your game, essentially?
Hi. So if the Discord is kind of like your endpoint where you're gathering everybody to build up for the eventual game launch. How do you build the entry points, like Twitter, for example, or spamming Reddit, if there's other ways of doing that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that stuff is a whole other talk, right? Like about how you're actually sort of building up presences in other places. I mean, a lot of it is doing very similar stuff, when it comes to things like Twitter, it can be a slow build-up, but you can do things, like running, like I was saying, I was pushing people into the Discord by giving them something that makes them want to. Well, you need to ask yourself that question about other platforms as well. Why are people going to follow you on Twitter? Why are they going to follow the account for your game? Is there anything that you can offer them? Like, is there a reason why they should join you? Is it that you tell people, if you follow this game account on Twitter, then I'm going to pick some random people who are followed, and they are going to, like, be able to pick a character that's in your game or something like that. There's lots of different ways that you can, with all social platforms really, that you can incentivize people to want to actually follow you. A lot of the time just saying, follow me because my game's great, is not really enough because everybody's saying that. No one's saying, you can follow me if you want, my game's crap, whatever. Yeah, it's all about incentivizing people, essentially.
Hello?
Hello.
So you mentioned that one of the hooks to your Discord server is like telling, hey, come play a beta of the game or an early version.
Yeah.
And you keep the community going all the way until launch. So I was wondering, how, in what stage of the game development should you start building community? Because I think you can't do that too long, or people will be tired.
That's a good question. That's a good question. So what I normally do is I normally tell people that I like to announce games that are under my publishing label somewhere between 4 to 6 months before the game is going to actually be ready. Is going to be released. The reason I say this is because I think it works time-wise. It's like you're saying, if you announce it a year before, you can't run a crazy meta game for an entire year. That would destroy you. Yeah. And also, people would probably just lose interest. I think that the 4 to 6 month time frame works because it's sort of you announce in that first month or two, you do the beta for the game, that you can then sort of have a month to be, one thing I'll sometimes do is deliver feedback that happened from the beta to people. So for example, with this game Family Man we've got right now, we ran a beta, we were tracking a bunch of stats from the beta, and now every few days we're putting up these images in the Discord that are like, like 1,000 people did this thing in the game, and here was a decision you all had to make. 40% of people made this decision.
Like writing analytics or something like that?
Say again?
Like analytics in the game?
Exactly, yeah. And so that's the stage we're at with Family Man right now, where we're doing this. The meta hasn't started for that game yet. Right now, we're delivering these cool ideas to them. We've also, in that one, just started doing it so that each week we're giving them the opportunity to name characters and dogs, things like that in the game. And then when we then know, because the game is nearly ready, essentially, it's on the cusp a bit of us saying, okay, this is ready to go. At that point then, when we know that, we can then start running sort of this intense meta thing for sort of a couple of months, to the point where we've built people sort of into a fever by the time the game comes out. But yeah, I think sometimes if you do longer than that, it can drag. It can really drag. Descenders, we did it, we announced the game and launched the Discord server 8 months before the game came out, and that felt like it dragged a little bit. There was times when we were just sort of, people were coming in the Discord saying like, what can we even do in here? Why am I even in here? You don't want that to happen, is the thing, because then people just start leaving. Okay. So yeah, it's definitely worth tightening it up, essentially.
Thank you.
Cool, cheers.
I'd be curious to hear a little bit more about the demographics of these people.
Yeah.
I'm curious about the age ranges and the gender balance. And I'm also curious if this was a subset of your total audience for the game.
Yeah.
Are there any unique characteristics to the Discord audience as compared to other segments?
Say that last bit again, sorry.
So if this is just like one segment of your total audience, like some people came to you through other marketing, are there any unique characteristics to the Discord audiences that you could observe as compared to other people? And I'm curious about the demographics.
Yeah, well, an interesting thing about this is that one thing that you really want to be doing is trying to mold your Discord community to be what you would like it to be. And again, I didn't really touch on moderation stuff so much because I think there are quite a lot of other talks about it, but in general, I want it such that when I get to the launch of the game, the people who I have fostered, and especially sort of like the mods and the regulars in there, are, as simple as it sounds, just nice people. You don't want it so that when you launch the game, you've got this toxic group of people who, when someone comes into the Discord asking for help about the game, they're just shut down, and people are just, being sarcastic at them and stuff like that. You want it so that you are fostering these people. And I don't think it's that hard to do, quite frankly. I personally have this, I don't think a lot of people do this, but I have this like sort of scorched earth mentality to it, where if I see someone in a server being any form of bad, I just get rid of them immediately. I don't do like a 3 strikes and you're out or anything like that. I know a lot of places do that. For me, if I see one person just saying a word, you know, that is a word that is not okay with me, they are gone immediately. And I find that works quite well for me because by the time I get to the launch, people just know.
Yeah, sometimes you need to be cutting a bit. If the person, you won't change someone, so you rarely, you can give changes, but if they want another chance, they need to show up for it. So don't be shy to cut people that are not fitting, because it will just keep that the idea that other people can do it, or it will give like a sensation of this is acceptable. I just have to endure the hit if I want to be mean for nothing, and you don't need to endure sometimes some people like that. They need to do the effort of coming back and asking for it and doing more effort than usual.
If someone comes in and starts talking weirdly, other people are like, yeah, you might not want to talk like that because Mike is going to see it in a second, which, you know, is I don't know. It works, I think, because I think when people don't do that and they do the 3 strikes or whatever, I think a lot of the time that's when, you know, like a YouTuber is trying to build a community for their streams and their videos and stuff. We make games and we don't want, I don't want idiots.
Sometimes people needs the 3 strike. They think, oh, he doesn't know that I need to make the 3 strike. I need it because of other reason that we can guess. I need it to go at the end and be out and push out. Sometimes it could be an influencer that just playing a game and showing it live. It can be anything, we don't know. So it's better to cut it right away, even if it seems mean, but be assertive.
Talking about or playing my games, I just want nice people. I mean, you know, it's a bit. I mean, we've seen the Steam forum, so that's never going to happen. But yeah, that's kind of what I try to aim for. The actual demographic of people in the server, to be honest, is not a thing I think much about because quite frankly, like when the game comes out, the important thing is that this group of people are just ready to go as your sort of hype train for the game. I think a lot of the time it is younger people, you know, and we've had some servers like the Family Man server. We've had a lot of what you can tell is very young people coming in who, you know, you realize are probably not going to buy the game when it comes out and are just looking for a free game. But honestly, with each game I've done, it's just kind of worked itself out in the end. You slowly but surely, you find the people who are right for your community, and you just start to mold it around them, really. So.
Thank you.
Thanks. What time is it?
Hi there.
Hi.
How do you manage the process of funneling people into the one community access point that you want people to be in, like the Discord, because that's where your energy is going? If people are starting their own community, like a Facebook group or Facebook community external to that, like how do you manage the process of stopping the fragmentation of that community?
For me, it's just a whole lot of spamming that link everywhere. You know, I wish it was. I wish it was more professional than that, quite frankly. But really, when I announce a game, I just make sure that Discord link is everywhere. You know, I'm putting it in the press release for the game. I'm putting it at the end of the video. I'm putting it in the trailer's description. I'm spreading it on Facebook and Twitter. I'm like I say, I'm emailing. I will directly email all of these free Steam key places saying, here's a game I've got coming up. Please, do you want to post this link on your site? It's just a whole lot of just putting it absolutely. Subreddits are another good one. Reddit, there's loads of people who want to play a free early copy of a game. You know, there's the games one, indie games one, game dev one. There's loads of different subreddits where there's tens of thousands of people in those who are pretty happy to click a link and sign up to a thing. So yeah, the horrible answer is spam as many people as you can. I would say there's nowhere not to put it, you know, because if people have joined a Facebook group or something, they're interested in the game in the first place. So you might as well try and funnel them into that place.
And if someone does create their own community group that you don't have control over, do you try to create your own version of that and just drive people back to the Discord, or just let that exist?
I mean, if you're in that situation where people are creating their own group, then that's pretty nice for you, right? That shows that there's a decent amount of interest in your game. So I don't think I would ever try and take control of that or close it down. It's more like, I guess I'd see if there were ways I could support that group. You know, if it made sense to be telling people, hey, there's this other group with these other people in it as well, I might do that. But I don't think I'd ever be in a position where I'd want to sort of take control. I guess there might be a situation where maybe the group is not nice and you kind of want to shut that down. But I personally haven't been in that situation yet. So
thank you.
Cheers.
Hello.
Hello.
So coming to the part that you mentioned that some of the developers like me or someone, we would think that we don't have time for all this stuff.
Yeah.
We have to make our games, right? So we might have to go and find some partner or someone else who would do this for us. But I feel like in the earlier stages of the game that the amount of involvement and the amount of knowledge that we have about the game, some other person wouldn't be able to do that good in the game, sharing and all. So I would still feel that I would need to get involved, and I would still have to spend a lot of time doing all of this stuff and get away from the development.
Yeah, because you're like me, you're a control freak, right?
Yep,
like you need to, you hate the idea that somebody else will be running
exactly.
this thing for you.
Exactly
right. Unfortunately, I've been having to learn that I have to let go at some points and just, I have to try and let other people take charge of other things. I would imagine that would be, if you just do not have the time to be doing this stuff, if you can admit to yourself, there's no way I can do this, it's important, it's still important, and you can't, it's better to try and find someone who can do it for you than to just not do it. So I would probably say you need to find someone who is passionate to do it, essentially.
So like there are two parts. Maybe I'm not able to find the good person, so I'll have to invest some more time finding the right person, or should I take some time out of my schedule to do all of this stuff myself?
It's different with each case. It depends on the game you're making and the time you have, and whether if you doing this will delay your game by a long time. And it's there will be situations where most people making games, it's quite intense, right? Especially as you're getting up to the launch of your game. So it might be that you can't be doing this stuff at launch. Because having the intensity of making a game and the intensity of running a Discord server might make you explode. So yeah, it sounds like from your situation, you probably maybe need to find someone and just sort of grit your teeth and see what they can do. So.
Okay, thank you.
Cheers.
Hey, Mike.
Hello.
Do you see any value in doing company Discords where you're putting your games in, like,
do you know, other people do. I know there's other publishers who do. I was talking to one of them from Raw Fury yesterday. They have just a singular Discord server and then channels for each of the things. I don't like to do that. It's less work doing that, obviously. But I don't like to do that because I think there's benefits. I would argue that most players don't give a crap about me. They don't care who No More Robots are. They care what the game is. That's why they join the server in the first place. So why would they want to join a Discord server that's filled with other games they don't care about, and they care about this singular one channel? I imagine for you it might make sense because all of your games, so you've got the games and the sequels, and they're all sort of quite similar. So maybe it would make sense for someone like you, but there's other benefits as well. When you're getting a verified server, if you put your game on the Discord store, they then put the store link. It automatically appears at the top of your Discord server, so people can now buy Descenders through the Descenders Discord server. So I think there's benefits to each way, but I just like my way better.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. I really appreciate this. Great information about pre-launch prep. Now,
no worries.
Is there anything in here that can help a product that has gone through a less than stellar launch already?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. The whole, is there something you can do after launch of a game? It's not just for Discord stuff, just for everything. I imagine if I was in a situation where I'd sort of had a launch that wasn't great, I would start to wonder how I can sort of take what I've already got and maybe even spin it off into a separate product that can then be, sort of announced and have a beta for it, etc., as a separate entity. But it depends on, it just depends on what it is, I guess, really. But yeah, it's a tricky one. I don't think anything I talked about today can probably help after a launch, to be honest. It's probably pre-launch stuff, this really. So, sorry, that's probably not the answer you want to hear, is it? Cool, all right. Thank you again. Cheers, everyone.
So that would be it for today. I guess I can do a quick programming stuff. The basis, like if you want to go into programming, because I forgot programmers, I left it for the end, and I will go back to it, of course. Monday I'm starting over. I redone my schedule. I redone it, so I will restart Monday with game designer, and I'm doing documentation right now. Like I said at the beginning of this stream, and so the programmer, I forgot about it because I put it last, but I have a formation in programming, and this is the usual position in programming. I might forget some, but usually when you are alone or with 2 or 3 people, you don't have the rest. You have this. You are the game programmer. You do the core game mechanics. Or if there are more people, like you can afford an AI programmer, a physics programmer, shader programmer, extra. Usually it would be a gameplay programmer that would only focus on the gameplay of the game, like the jump and the attack and everything related with the character actions. And when you have like Unity, Unreal, they have AI stuff. But if you want to you want to make it better, you can play with the thing. Usually they use nav mesh or A star. When you don't use nav mesh, they are the two mains. A star is for like looking for a position on a direction on a board when you have a game in isometric or in with square position. It's a good. It's not really AI. It's more like a pathfinding algorithm, but within the nav mesh of the Unreal and Unity, the nav mesh is created and it creates it has some kind of path finding algorithm with the nav mesh, but usually this one is more like when you have a custom engine and you create your own nav mesh with your own system. Physics programmer Unity, I think they use 3D bugs or something. They use another physics engine. I'm not sure which one. Unreal 2. I would check, see what it is said. What is the physics engine for Unreal Unity? Unreal use NVIDIA physics. Unity. Oh, I thought it was Box 3 2D or something. They all went for NVIDIA physics. So it's all done, mostly done. You can do your own. You can use Bugs 2D or anything that is now available, but the physics is like how to avoid doing because in physics you want to detect the collision. of the object and decide what is the physics of each element. And in Unity Unreal, it's already set. You just have to put the mass, and the calculation behind is all done. But if you do home engine, you will have to have a system that, like a grid system, that checks the zone where object collides to avoid the big O. The big O is because a grid like that, you need to have multiple for loop, because you have the depth and the height to check, and for depth you have a for loop that check the depth each row, and then for the wide the height or the wideness, you need another for loop to check each row, and for the height you need another for loop to check. So you make big zones, so the for loop are lighter, and there are many techniques to avoid the big O, avoid having a big O of I don't remember exactly how we say that, because we used to talk in French time. You can check big O notions. You want to avoid exponential use of the big O. So you check your for loop and you say you can calculate every time there is a for. I would need to make a video on that if you want. You can look for explanation on YouTube. So that's physics. You can do to avoid the big O. Sometimes you can do you can use multiple processors. You can use assembly. I don't SIMD to. But I don't know if it's used in physics. SIMD stands for single instruction. It's like you pack your for loop into one. You separate in 4 chunk. Like you separate your for loop in chunk of 4, but I don't know if it's used in physics. But when you want to avoid the big O of the exponent to I don't remember the name. Big O exponent exponential. What was the name? Exponential time grows exponentially, the curve. Like this is when we I think we said big O of 2 to say that when so you need to check that when you do any position in programming. It's one of the most important thing in when I said you don't optimize first. Well, you think about the big O first, of course. Even if it's some kind of optimization, you need to think about how many times you will do a for loop in your game loop, because it can slow your game. Shader programmer, people who does special visual for the games, like cell shading or any things like that, especially if it's custom, like Mobius is a comic artist. comics. I don't remember the name. Moebius. It's a French comic artist. Let's say someone wants to have the render of his engine to look like this, like the exact traits, like the thickness of the threads, the thickness of the shells. Someone wants exactly this kind of shading when the over is 3D models. It's really possible in video game, very possible when you do you have a shader programmer. You can do that, and there are people who especially do that. They do the strokes similar to Mobius. It's a good example because I saw a video on YouTube. This one, the guy did the Mobius style shader, and this is usually in Ash LSL or GHSL or other languages like that.
Hi, you must be here for the video. Well, you're in luck because it's about shaders, and if you behave, there might even be a game for you to play at the end. I'm Leonard, let's dive right into this episode of Useless Game Dev. Mobius, also known as Jean Giraud, was a French cartoonist and major figure of French comic book arts. And today we're going to try and replicate his drawing style when rendering real-time 3D. It is obviously never going to be as good as masterpieces drawn by an expert, but this is more of an experiment to see how far we can go. Regarding his style, Mobius had a lot of different phases throughout his career.
If you want to make like a pixelated game or anything like that,
but the style people associate with him most is this.
It's some kind like not a technical artist, but it's one of the closest to art in programming.
Thin black outlines, flat colors, lots of details. Let's get started on the line and more specifically the outline. The line of Mobius's drawings has most of the time a fixed width, meaning it's probably all drawn with the same pen. If I draw the line directly on a 3D object using a regular texture, the perspective is going to make it uneven and pixelated up close, so there must be a screen space filter to keep everything at the same size. To do this, we're first going to need an edge detection filter in the form of a Sobel filter, which is a kind of convolution filter. Let me explain. In a convolution filter, for every pixel on the screen, the result of the filter will be a weighted sum of the values of the neighboring pixels. To do this, you sample the pixels around the target pixel and multiply the values according to a weight matrix. If the weights are just a simple average, we get a simple blur. If the weights are Gaussian weights, we get Gaussian blur. This is the weight matrix for the Sobel filter.
Always that.
As you may already be able to tell, the resulting sum will highlight.
You always do this kind of matrix with the pixel that define a bit the behavior of pixels, of each pixels. Like this is the center pixel and this is the surrounding, and it does with every one. It does this really fast over each pixel on the GPU.
The differences between the left and
its shading is really it's like GPU programming.
Right sides of the pixel. If the values are same-ish, the filtered pixel will be dark. If, however, there is a high contrast between the two sides, the filtered pixel would be much brighter. If we test this on a sample image, we see that the Sobel filter highlights vertical edges. We just
see that it creates a vertical, like some kind of vertical, because this is negative, this is positive, this is middle.
Have to add a second similar filter that highlights horizontal edges, and by taking the maximal value of both.
Oh, maybe I'm wrong. is the horizontal. The 0 is horizontal.
That highlights horizontal edges.
It's like it tries to focus on the horizontal even if the pixels are not horizontal. You see that it gives importance to what is horizontal.
And by taking the maximal value of both, we get a pretty nice edge detection filter. In a 3D scene, we will apply the Sobel filter on the depth map. This way, when an object is far behind another, there will be a sudden change in depth and voila, outlines. Something that also has sudden changes along the edges of an object is the normal map of the scene. So we can also apply the Sobel filter to the normal buffer and we get even better edges. Now it's all supposed to be hand-drawn after all, so I'm going to add a slight noise to the UV sampling in order to get wiggly lines. Nope, that's too much. Perfect. It's already looking quite good, although for some reason when I zoom on this fern I can gaze into the interdimensional void.
That happens often. That happens really often when you do shading.
Add texture to our objects. There's a lot of details we want to draw on our objects, and once again, if we draw them directly on the object, the perspective is going to make the line uneven. So my idea was to write the texture information to the normal buffer. After all, we are not really going to apply any traditional lighting to the scene, and the normals will get caught and outlined by our Sobel filter. The only issue with this is that when you draw a single line on a normal texture, it will actually get outlined by the Sobel filter. And even if you draw the thinnest lines, when you look up close, it doesn't look great. But let's simply not look too closely at objects, and this will be a little secret. Also, we don't want to get too close and risk falling into the void. In Mobius's drawing, lighting is mostly conveyed via the line itself, so you will have bright colors, we'll get to those in a moment, and the shading is going to be done using cross-hatched lines. To achieve this, I prepared this special texture with 3 dimensions of cross-hatching: horizontal, vertical, and sideways. Each of these layers write independently to the red, green, and blue channels of the texture respectively, which, once in Unity, gives me basically 3 textures in one. Pretty neat. With this, I can add the crosshatch depending on the brightness of a pixel. If it's between 100 and 75% brightness, no crosshatch. Between 75% and 50%, only horizontal lines. Between 50% and 25%, horizontal and vertical. And finally, between 25% and 0, all 3 types of lines. The shadow graph for this is pretty simple too.
When you get built-in AI, it gives back. AI gives you uninterrupted movie nights and more productive work days. Shop now and experience the joy of a Dell PC with built-in AI powered by Intel.
So that's it. Or not. It seems that my oh, I'm not on my no, it's not.
Of the object it's on. This is how it should be drawn to convey volume. For the shady part of objects, this can be done by adding the crosshatch to the normal buffer, just like we do with texture. It works somewhat, but since it goes through the Sobel filter, the quality ends up being meh. For shadows, however, while it might probably be feasible, not by me. So we're going to stick with screen space crosshatch for now.
You can see you can have really nice thing with shaders. Of course, it's a lux.
We're almost done with the line component of our shader. The last thing we need is to
base your game on too much of visual effect, except if you have the lux, if you can afford it.
Show specular reflections. In Mobius's drawing, this is done with very distinct white areas that are outlined as well. With a simple dot product between the normal of a surface and the direction of the main light of the scene, we can get the area of the object that is most exposed to light and write that as a special color in our object's normal map so it's caught by the Sobel filter. Line looks alright, it handles our 3D scene pretty well. It definitely doesn't look as detailed as it should be, but that would require me having some actual drawing skills, so no, let's move on to color. Objects are simple, they have either a single color, maybe a fancy schmancy gradient, and same thing for the skybox. Also, since the crosshatch line thing is taking care of the brightness component of colors, all colors can be at full brightness. It's all a bit too colorful now, so we'll add post-processing effects to tweak saturation, contrast, and other color adjustments. Also throw in some grain to look a bit more like paper. I'm not a fan of Unity's built-in film grain, because it moves a lot like the image has white noise or something, so I made my own grain that only changes every 10 frames or so, to mimic the low frame rate of old films. Our shader looks like it's ready in our sample scene. So let's take her out for a spin in a small racing game I made dubbed Montrouge Grand Prix. It's a tiny racing game, very simple, go through the hoops to complete a lap, 3 laps total, fastest wins. It's available for you to play on itch.io, link in the description, so go for it. This is my current best score, comment below if you can beat it. Until then, have a good one.
So that will be for today. Monday will be the design. I will start probably something during the weekend. Like the game, a bit of the GDD of the game document on this the game dev doc that is in the description below. If you want to participate, give me a hint. The Discord link works, the one in the description only. You can join there and say hi, and we will build this together if you want. So now I will quit for the French live stream. You can support me by giving me a tips in the tip platform below in the description, or becoming a Patreon in the description too. There is a Patreon link. That will be everything for tonight. Thank you for watching and see you Monday.